Colleen Murphy, head women's swimming coach at the Air Force Academy. Thanks for taking the time to answer some fans' questions.
It's great to see you, Brian. I've missed being in your interview room and being able to talk to you regularly. So it's good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to be back and at least talking about swimming, even though we're not quite swimming yet together as a team. But the first question, as usual, from all the fans is, this COVID-19 pandemic has kind of taken over our lives here. We want to make sure that you and your family are doing well. How is everyone?
Everyone here is healthy. We've been really good. We've been home social distancing quite a bit. Both of my kids, I have a 13-year-old and a 9-year-old, did the homeschooling thing. I learned that I should not be my kid's teacher. I actually learned that early on. I actually had to put my kids in swim lessons. They didn't want to learn swimming from me, the one thing I thought I'd save money on in my life. But through that, I think they did a really good job with it. Having a husband who teaches math really helped me with my 13-year-old who's in algebra. But we've been healthy. It's been, kind of a busy time at home, but we've been trying to get out just a little bit more and do things outside, getting our dogs out for a walk. We went whitewater rafting, things that you can do that are, outside so that they are more active.
That's awesome. Obviously, it's a very tough time in our nation as well, with all the racial tensions going on. I'm curious how your team is dealing with that right now, and maybe if you're having talks about diversity, having conversations. What are you doing?
I think diversity at the Air Force Academy is at the forefront. I think the Air Force Academy has done a great job of, not only releasing statements, but having, talks that our academy can take part in, both the cadets and our permanent party at the academy. I've been vividly aware of what's going on because the week that kind of things started happening with the racial tension, I was doing a coaching summit. And so we kind of turned over to talking about that within the swimming community and, how we can address racism and how we can help others. My son is 13 and going into high school. And I think he's really noticed these kind of things, and it's helped me to talk about it with just a younger child as I talk to my swimmers about it. So, with the swim team, we've been talking about it. We've been wondering what we can do to help within the swimming community. I know a lot of swimmers out there. For example, Simone Manuel, who's the first Black swimmer to win an Olympic gold medal on the women's side. I know she started a corporation for swimming to help people, to just help with racial tension, systemic racism out there. And so we've been, talking about a lot. And I think that's the important thing is we're talking about it and trying to make those changes.
That is very important. And it is nice. People on the outside don't see all the things that the Air Force Academy is doing, but General Silveria and everyone on the administration doing a great job so far, just forcing those, uncomfortable conversations, but hopefully we're moving forward in the right direction as a nation as well. Thanks for that. With the pandemic, back to that side of it, how is your team staying in shape? Because I'm guessing that not a lot of them have a pool in their basement.
That's the hard part. We're swimmers and we need pools and we need to be in the water. And so they haven't since March. We went home. We actually had a weight workout on a Wednesday morning. We were kind of in our postseason. And then we thought we were going into recognition that weekend. And so I had given him the rest of the weekend off to be in recognition. And I didn't see my team again. And so that was, middle of March, and most of them have not been in the water. But we have been really lucky that we have an amazing strength coach, Brad Rains. He wrote out programs for them. If they have a weight room, they can be in a weight room. If they don't have a weight room, he had stuff that they could do, body weight exercises, making up stuff to give them some more weight to lift, running, biking, all that kind of stuff. We have some girls that did get into the ocean to swim some. So our Florida girls, our California girls, they did some open water swimming, but that's not the same as pool swimming, but at least they were in the water that way. Right now, in June, a lot of places have started to open up with social distancing in the water. So some of our girls are able to get in the water, 2 or 3 days a week. We have some girls returning here, and we're working on a way to get everyone back swimming, because that's the most important thing. We are swimmers, so we have to be in the water.
You mentioned how the season ended there, and I don't want to pass from here and go on without mentioning your seniors. How did they handle it when basically their careers came to an end a little bit earlier than they thought. I mean, we talk all the time about how swimming and you're tapering and you're getting ready for that one big meet at the end of the year, and then, oh, hey, we're not going to swim now. So how did they handle that?
We were really lucky that we got to have our Mountain West Conference meet for our seniors. And so they had a great meet there. And that was a great way to end up. I think for them, they struggled a little bit with, are we going to graduate? Are we going to be able to graduate? How are we going to get out of here? What is our 60 days of paid leave going to look like? But they did a great job. I think we had great leaders in our senior class who didn't really think about themselves. They were worried about our underclassmen and what they were doing. And I think that shows that the leadership training at the Air Force Academy really prepared them for this situation, because you can't always say that, things are always going to go the way you want them. And they stepped up and led the lower classes on our team, helped them get home so that they were safe, and then finished up their studies here. And they were very impressed and very happy with the graduation ceremony. While they wanted their families there and their friends there, they said it was kind of a close-knit, kind of a class thing that they had that was kind of special to them. So they'll never forget it. The class of 2020, it's never been like that. And so their memories of that will last forever.
That's awesome. Moving forward, one of the questions from the fans is, what new challenges do you anticipate this upcoming season that maybe you wouldn't have if the pandemic had never happened?
Well, I think that's just getting back into swimming shape. We have never had people out of the water from March until August. And if they're out that way, hopefully we'll get back in a little sooner than that, but it'll change our training a little bit, getting in shape, being ready for the season. But I'm not really that worried about it, because the way the Air Force Academy is, during the summers, your swimmers are all over the place. Sometimes they're here and we're able to do stuff in the water and train, but other times they're jumping out of airplanes, or they're on Operation Air Force and they're in Alaska, or, they're doing research at the Pentagon. Our team captain was supposed to be doing research at the Pentagon this summer. And, she probably would have trained some while she was home, but it's very different than being with the team. So for us, I think we can just roll with it, and we're used to it, and we'll get back in the water, start getting back in shape, and, start up with our goals for this year.
Last year, in recent memory, one of the best in recent memory, 13 dual wins, a 722 win percentage. Fan wants to know what led to the success in the pool last season.
First and foremost, it was the belief of our team. We went to a meet up in Wyoming. We were in Laramie, and typically that hasn't been a very good meet for us. And our girls really stepped up and raced. And I think that's where they really started to believe that we could win a lot of dual meets this year. That meet actually, until the last break, was very, very close. It went back and forth. And our girls, even though we lost that meet, they truly came home believing that we could win. And the very next weekend, we swam Northern Arizona, who were the WAC champions for 7 years running. And we had a great meet. We crushed them. And we were also competing against Colorado State. And it's the first time in recent memory that it came down to the last relay with Colorado State. And from then, they just started rolling and believing in themselves that they could win those meets. I think we had some people on our team that really stepped up at those meets. In the fall, Cephalina was amazing. She had a great fall. She was the conference swimmer of the week twice. She was undefeated in the 50 and 100 free throughout the fall. She really helped step up. I think our team captain next year, Kylie Stronko, in the backstroke, she pretty much won every event she swam when we went to meets. And so having the depth and the, people winning events made that big difference in winning those dual meets.
Which kind of leads right into the next question. What can you expect from your returners and newcomers? You mentioned Cephalina and Kylie, but there's something you didn't mention about those two. Tell us a little bit about that.
So our first half of the season was an amazing first half of the season. We were healthy. We were strong. On January 1st, Cephalina tore her ACL. And so she continued to swim throughout the season and did a great job at our conference meet, but not anything like what we expected or she expected at that meet. And so she has had ACL surgery. She has finished her PT. She actually is in Arizona right now and has been able to get back in the water about 3 days a week. So we're really looking forward to her being healthy and not injured throughout the whole season this year, because I think she's expecting great things after how great her fall was. Lexi Duchesne also, she got injured at our last dual meet of the fall when we were at Grand Canyon University. She had surgery after our conference meet, and you know what? She had a great conference meet. She stepped up on relays because when we talk about Kylie in a second, Lexi came in and took Kylie's spot on our relays and did a great job. She went lifetime best times, and she had torn tendons in her wrist. And so she's coming back from that surgery. And then Kylie, who had had an amazing season, got very sick at our conference meet and ended up in the hospital for the entire conference meet, wasn't able to compete. And that was really hard on the team because she is one of our big leaders. She was unanimously voted team captain this year. She's our SAC chairperson for the whole academy, and she's the SAC chairperson for the whole Mountain West this year. So she's a leader, and not having her in the pool at our conference meet was quite a bit. You know, we had this great fall, but you know, some injuries and sickness. The team really responded at conference. The people that were healthy and not injured, they did a great job. And so I think the returning people we have on our team, coupled with the girls coming back from sickness and injury, it's going to be a really great year.
With that being said, have you set goals yet? Can you even set goals before you get back in the pool? Or, I mean, but obviously you're making strides, you're getting better. Can you set goals already for next season?
You know, I've thought a lot about that through this whole, you know, quarantine, COVID, trying to make a season plan for next year. I have changed our schedule multiple times over the last 3 months, you know, canceling meets, adding meets, figuring out where we need to go. I think our goals are always the same as we climb the Mountain West Conference, you know, making NCAAs, those kind of things. But we're going to sit down as a team and really make some goals in September once we start getting back in shape and we see kind of how things are going to flow with COVID and social distancing and how we're going to train. It's going to be a very different year, but that's the good thing. We are adaptable. People are resilient at the Air Force Academy. The cadets are good about dealing with adversity. We've had adversity before with some of the girls on our team when our pool broke second semester. That was our juniors and seniors saw that and know what that was like. So our team does very well that way. And I think, you know, we're going to come up with some concrete goals that our team is really going to shoot for come September.
That's awesome. The next questions we get into kind of have to do with you and your coaching and how you coach at the academy. But let's back up a little bit because you had coached at other civilian schools. Now you're at the Air Force Academy. Tell us what is the difference and what's the differences between coaching in a civilian school and at an academy?
You know, swimming is swimming, but it is very different when you're coaching at different schools. At typical civilian schools that I've been at, you kind of make a season plan and you can pretty much go with it. You know, you make tweaks here or there as you see your swimmers develop, or, you know, if they're a little more tired this day or that day. But at the Air Force Academy, you never know how they're going to come in. They could be really tired. Something could be happening up in the wing. It could be prog time or lots of tests and GRs are happening that week. So you have to be adaptable. And I think I've really learned that is that you have to read your cadet swimmers as they come down, as they warm up. You really have to watch them and see kind of what they're doing. We work a lot on the little things, making those, you know, better. And I think cadets are very good at that. They're very good at compartmentalizing as well, that they come down and sometimes the pool is their release from everything else they're doing up on the hill, the academics and military side of it. It makes swimming more fun. They enjoy coming down and being with their teammates and working hard, but they are also, we have to budget their time correctly. If I say practice is over at 5, practice is going to be over at 5 because they have other things they have to do up in the cadet wing. I can't go over, oh, well, we're going to go, you know, till 5:30 just today, or, you know, add anything on because their time is very valuable and they learn that time management skill very well.
I'm wondering if maybe a certain person had something to do with you learning some of these things. And I want you to be able to talk about the man, the myth, the legend, Casey Converse, who is a longtime head coach of this program, and you took over for him, were an assistant under him for a while. What did you learn from Casey? And maybe just speak to Casey for a bit.
I am so lucky that I had the opportunity to coach with Casey Converse for 5 years. He is one of my best friends. He is my biggest mentor in coaching. And I've really been lucky to have some great mentors, but he is number one on that mentorship. When I came in as an assistant, it is a learning curve when you come to the Air Force Academy. Like we said, it's not like any other place that you've ever worked. And he really took me under his wing and helped me to kind of learn how coaching is different at our academy. He was very, very good about understanding that you have to be adaptable. He was very, very good about always continuing to learn. Even though Casey was here 29 years and he had great success and he was an Olympian and he had won NCAA championships in the 90s, he never stopped learning. He always wanted to talk about swimming. He always wanted to talk about new ideas. When we went to meets, if he was impressed by a swimmer from another team, he was very, very good about going up to those coaches and say, hey, what are you doing with her? Why is she doing these kind of things? And so I learned a lot from him to continue my education, to always, never stop learning and to be adaptable and know that everything that you do is, is a learning process. And I think that in 29 years, he never stopped that. We still talk weekly. We still talk about swimming. This was the final year that he knew the senior class. So he's never coached anyone on the team anymore, but I'll still bring him in to talk to the team because he has great wisdom to impart on our team, and he will always love Air Force swimming. The other thing that I learned from Casey that I think is really, really important is the core values. He truly believed in the core values of the Air Force Academy and our mission. And with that, he was so proud of everyone who graduated from our program. And our alumni are amazing. And it's so obvious that he really had an effect on all of our alumni's lives. When we had his retirement, over 200 alumni flew in for just his retirement dinner. And that's really impressive because that really shows how much influence he had on those alumni. And even to this day, he was very good about getting me connected with those alumni. The girls from the 90s, which is when I graduated college, have really taken me under their wing and kind of adopted me as one of them, which is really funny because my school was actually a competitor at Air Force in the 90s. And when I took this job, all of my swimmer friends from my college were like, wait a second, don't we not like them? And now all these alumni are my friends, and they come back and they give back to our team, and they want to talk to the girls on our team and really help them to develop into great Air Force officers. But I think the thing that Casey did the most is, service before self. He was an Olympian, and you would never know it because he would never bring that up. He's the most modest man I've ever met. In his final year, his retirement year, which I lovingly said was his last tour, I was like his publicity chair because no one knew. And even getting him to give out the awards in the mile at NCAA's that year, I was the one saying, he was an Olympian. He was the first man to break 15 minutes in the mile. You need this guy to give out these awards. And just those little things, because he was not gonna stress. It was never about him. It was really about the team and what the Air Force Academy was all about. I really miss Casey. He is really a mentor to me, and having him on the pool deck, I miss having him every day and being able to kind of banter back and forth and learn from him.
The final question kind of about you and your coaching is, and I guess you addressed some of it, but maybe there's some things you haven't touched. How has your coaching style changed while you've been at the academy? Obviously, you've learned how to become an academy coach, but have you adapted your style in any way other than that?
Using that word adapted, that's what I do every day. I adapt to, the circumstances that I'm given and, how my athletes are each day. I think that we have a little bit less time to train sometimes. And so, with all of the duties that they have up on the hill, it is being very efficient with time and not having a lot of fluff in what we do. So it's efficiency, I think, that I've really adapted, where at other places I had lots of time and, you could, move back and forth between things and not really realize that 15 minutes of, talking here or there makes a difference. The other thing that is really important at the academy that I think has changed in my coaching style is that I make sure that I'm talking to every swimmer every day and seeing how they're doing and what's going on at the other parts of their life, um, academically, militarily, and making sure that I'm involved that way. And funny enough, we've been doing some recruiting with our swimmers because of some new NCAA legislation due to COVID. And we had 4 swimmers on the phone talking to some rising seniors in high school. And Cephalina actually mentioned, we have these things, they're called whoops. They help with like the girls to see how much they sleep and their recovery and all that kind of stuff. And she said on the phone, she's like, sometimes I wondered if there was a microphone in that whoop, because somehow Colleen always knows when I'm tired or, feeling, a little bit like school is overwhelming. And so I'm like, there's no microphone in there. But you just start to sense those kind of things at the academy and really read the cadets well.
That's awesome, and it's great. I think it's smart for coaches, maybe even outside of an academy, to kind of figure out what's going on in their athletes' lives outside. You mentioned alumni a little bit back, and I want to ask you this question: how can alumni help your program? How do they help your program, and how can they help your program moving forward?
Our alumni are the reason last summer that our team got to go to Germany. They donated a lot of money, and actually Casey is the one who kind of spearheaded that from the beginning. He's like, I think this team should go to Germany at some time. And that was in his last year as head coach. And I remember sitting there going, okay, well, now I have to do that. And I have to figure out a way. And so a lot of alumni with his retirement started donating towards this Germany project. And then, parents and alumni kept donating over the next 2 years. And we were able to make that trip come to fruition and really give back to the Air Force and the swim team at Ramstein Air Force Base when we did a clinic over there and got some travel in. And so, that's a monetary thing that our alumni have really helped with. But I think what's most important about our alumni is their family atmosphere and how much they want to just give back to the swimmers. When alumni are back here in town, they come talk to our team. Colonel Meg Martin, who is our faculty athletic rep, is also one of our ORs, our officer reps, and she's our eligibility chair. She comes and talks to our team. The girls absolutely love her. She gives advice all the time. And sometimes it's advice they don't want to hear, but it's smart advice that they need to hear. Other alumni will come back and tell them stories that get them excited about their future in the big Air Force and when they are in the operational Air Force. We've been really lucky that we have a lot of alumni that come back here and are leaders, just like, Colonel Maya Anderson, who's the head of the PE department. Both her and Colonel Martin are in our Hall of Fame. So great swimmers that have come back and really have that impact on our team. And so I think even when they go out to bases, when we were in Germany, we had alumni coming on deck all the time and meeting the swimmers. And I think the swimmers find out that they are part of a bigger family, not only within the Air Force, but being a swimmer or a diver connects you with people on any base that you go to.
I think you've also told me a story too that I'd like you to repeat for the fans, and that is about Missy May and how she came and spoke to your team. Maybe enlighten us on that. And because if other alumni hear these kinds of stories and hear what an impact they have on these young people's lives, I think more of them will want to do it.
Right. So every year at our banquet, not this year because of COVID, but every other year at our banquet, we've brought in an alumni to speak to our team. And 2 years ago, we brought in Missy May, Colonel Missy May, who is one of the first female fighter pilots. She graduated in the mid-90s, and she just retired from the Air Force and had moved to Monument and is now flying for United Airlines. And so I invited her to come in, and I met Missy because of Casey Converse, and he's like, this is someone you need to know, and she's amazing. And she's a redhead spitfire. I mean, she tells it like it is. And so I brought her in to speak to the team. And being one of the first female fighter pilots, she struggled through the academy because she had some medical things. She had scoliosis. They didn't even know if she was going to make it through basic because of her medical issues. And then when she was graduating from the academy, she had to get a waiver to be a pilot and ended up, flying fighter jets in the Air Force. And the story that she told the team, that they were so in awe, and I was sitting behind her, and these girls were totally enthralled by her. At the end of the night, they all wanted to talk to Missy, no one else. They all wanted to, and they were standing around her in a circle. But this story was really, truly about, her going into battle. And she talked about during her sophomore year at the Air Force Academy, she had a boyfriend and she didn't know if, swimming was just another thing that she was doing. And she thought about quitting and giving it up, but she never did because she relied on her team and she loved her team so much. And she really enjoyed that feeling of getting up on the blocks and racing. And, she was part of teams who won Division II national championships. And she told us about when she was going into Operation Shock and Awe, and her wingman were getting into their planes. And it was the first time she really realized that there's a chance they might not come back. And they shook hands and they got into the plane. And at that moment, she realized that it was just like getting up on the blocks and that adrenaline rush that you got when you were doing it for your team as a swimmer, and how her swimming at the academy and learning from swimming and hard work and teamwork went right over to her as a fighter pilot in the Air Force, going into battle with her wingman. And, if you look down into that crowd, every girl was just like eyes on her, mouth open, just like, and I think she really showed them through that speech, like, that you are part of something greater than yourself and that you are going to do amazing things in the operational Air Force. And, this 4 years at the academy, not only just swimming, but militarily, the leadership training you're getting and the academic rigor that, is really hard, prepares you to be a great second lieutenant and then a leader as you move through the Air Force. And so having Missy there was so impressive. We've had other great speakers as well, but Missy's story always really stands out to me. And she's a great leader for our girls to see. And as we have other alumni that come back and tell their story, and it's as simple as telling their story about, hey, I was still able to have a family and do this and be great. And, to have Colonel Martin come in, who has 3 boys, and, her husband's a swim coach. And she talks about, how she's had her career, not only flying, planes, but also back here as the head of the history department and, working for athletics. So we've been really, really lucky that we have great female leaders to be examples to our swimmers.
That is awesome. Well, that is all the questions from the fans, but I also wanted to give you an opportunity if there's anything else you wanted to add to speak to the fans, supporters of your program, anything at all.
I think it's just, we haven't been able to swim, but we're going to come back from it. We're going to be stronger than ever. We have learned resiliency at the Air Force Academy. And so even though times are tough right now with COVID and, with racism that we have to combat, our team is going to be stronger than ever as we do it together through the Air Force Academy, and how much diversity we have here and how much our great medical staff is going to help us with that as well. And so I'm really, really excited to have everyone back here. I'm excited. Our freshman class moves in next week, 1 week from today, and they start basic training. And, we have a great freshman class coming in. They're very deep across the board. So I'm excited about them. We've got a lot of sprinters in that class, and we graduate some great seniors. So we're looking for them to kind of step into some roles right away on relays and be an important part of our team. But it's been a hard couple of months. Everyone's safe and good on our team, but we're ready to come back and get back at it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think everybody's ready to get back at it. Colleen, thanks for taking the time, and hopefully we'll see you on the pool deck here soon.
Thank you, Brian.